Welcome back to the channel. My name is Matt Sokol, and today I'm going to be telling you how to make money selling shoes at sneaker consignment shops. Before we get started, I would appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So first, let me just explain what consignment is. Many of you may have heard of sneaker consignment shops, but you don't really know what the word consignment means. Well, let me explain it to you. Consignment is essentially a business model in which there is a store that sells a good to the ultimate consumer, which in this case would be the people that wear the sneakers, but that store doesn't actually own the shoes that they sell. So Matt, if they don't own the shoes that they're selling, where do the shoes come from? Well, that's where people like myself and maybe you come into the picture, people that buy shoes on release and want to sell them. You may be selling shoes currently on StockX and GOAT, which aren't bad options for selling shoes, but consignment can put more money in your pocket for those same items. To summarize how it works, you get your shoes, you go to the website of the consignment shop, you see what their prices are, you set your price, and you send your items to the consignment shop. Once they receive the shoes, they authenticate them to make sure that they're legit, genuine shoes and they're not counterfeits. And they also inspect them to make sure that they're new and there's no big manufacturer defects that would scare off a customer. And the next part is you gotta just wait for a customer to either go to the website or into the store and buy those shoes. Seems simple enough, right? So why isn't everyone already doing this? Many people are just unaware of sneaker consignment and really don't know any specific consignment shops that they could sell at. Well, let me list the two biggest consignment shops in the country, Flight Club and Stadium Goods. Feel free to pause this video and look both of those shops up, or better yet, watch my past videos where I specifically tell you how to sell shoes with those shops. And both of those videos are in the description below. One of the main questions I get about sneaker consignment is simply, Matt, why are people paying more money than they could otherwise to buy these shoes in store or from these companies? For example, a shoe is listed for $400 on StockX, but at Flight Club it's listed at $600. So why would anyone buy that shoe? I would say the main reason why people shop through those companies is simply brand recognition. They're very large companies, people know them, they both have flagship locations in New York, and people just trust those companies. There's just some sort of swag, I guess I'll say, of buying shoes from Flight Club or Stadium Goods or any other consignment shop over StockX. Like literally, if you buy stuff on StockX and there's a StockX tag on the item, like people actually make fun of you. I know, because it's happened to me. In addition to that, a lot of these sales that are actually in store are just people that are tourists or just people that want the item right away. They don't want to wait 1 or 2 weeks to get the item from StockX. And they also want that tangible experience about being able to see the shoe in person, feel it in your hand, and picture it on your feet. Getting into a little bit more depth about consignment and the process and exactly how it works. Obviously, all shops are different, and so the consignment fee is gonna vary shop to shop, but generally the industry is 10 to 20% consignment fee, which means 10 to 20% of the sale goes to the consignment shop. A lot of people say 20%, that's a lot. That's a big cut. StockX only charges me 12 or 13%. 20%, I don't know if I can afford that. You really need to consider what that shop is doing for you. They're spending money on marketing, which is, by the way, one of the biggest things. A lot of that commission is going straight to marketing, whether it's on social media, whether it's with influencers. A lot of that money also goes to sales. When the shop has a sale, 5 or 10% off, that comes directly from their consignment fee. So those sales that actually help you sell your shoes actually reduce the profit of the shop. In addition, they authenticate the shoes, so you don't have to worry about if your shoes are fake or not. As far as pricing your item at consignment, generally, most items are about 10 to 20% above the StockX lowest ask, but sometimes I've gone as high as 35%. If a shop is missing a certain model or a certain size, I call that a gap. Basically what a gap would be is just a certain model and a certain size that shop does not have. If you have a shoe and you're trying to figure out what shop you should sell it at or how you should sell it to begin with, looking for the gap is definitely a good strategy for trying to spot those opportunities, because generally not only are you going to be able to name a price, but your shoe is going to sell faster, and ultimately that money is going to come back in your pocket faster, which means you can go out and do it again. And it's not just about the return that you're getting, but it's about the speed. And I want to talk about speed a lot when it comes to consignment, because speed is something that, you know, if you're normally selling on StockX or GOAT, the stuff usually sells relatively fast and you kind of just list it and don't worry about it. But with consignment, speed is much more important because you no longer have the shoes in your possession. For example, if you listed a shoe on StockX and it didn't sell after a month, you could just remove the listing or change the price and sell it somewhere else. With consignment, you can't do that because they physically have your good. I learned this the hard way. I had dozens and probably close to 100 items at one shop for, I want to say, 9 to 12 months that were just not good items for consignment. At the time, I didn't understand consignment fully, and I was just sending them basically every shoe I had, even brick shoes and less popular shoes. But for the consignment model, that doesn't work. You need to send shoes that are fast moving. One thing you can do right off the bat is just simply ask the shop, hey, do you have a list of 10 or 20 or 30 of the top moving shoes? And a lot of those shops have that ready to go because they're looking to get more inventory for those shoes because they know they sell more. It just makes sense. Listen, there's certain models that are just the top of the shoe game. People always want them, and they're gonna be a large bulk of the fastest selling shoes. And some of those models are gonna be the Yeezy 350s as well as the Jordan 1s. Those are just models that generally people want, they're high demand, and the shops move them very, very quickly. On the flip side, shoes that move a lot slower are brick shoes, which pretty much just means like lower end shoes, maybe shoes around like that $100 price point, $150 price point. A lot of those shoes are just kind of, I want to say, too plain to really sell themselves well in a shop environment or even on a website environment. I would recommend moving, you know, those type of brick shoes on StockX or GOAT. And then the kind of weird area we get to is like the high-end shoes. So once we get to like the $500 price point and up, it gets kind of finicky because, as you can imagine, how many people are in the market for $500, $750, $1,000 plus pair of shoes? So while I have sold plenty of shoes that were over that $500 amount, I've also had many shoes just not sell at all. The hardest part of this whole thing is really just determining what shop you should send stuff to and what shoes you should send. And something that I'll recommend is that don't send your full inventory to a shop right away. Take a couple pairs, maybe a couple different models, a couple sizes, send them to a shop, give them that opportunity and see, one, how much money you get if it's actually more than StockX or GOAT or any other alternative, and two, how fast it moves. Too many people just get caught up on price and they don't get caught up on speed at all. And I had to learn the hard way. And sometimes selling something faster for a lower margin actually makes you more money in the long term, but that's for another video. That's the power of compounding. I personally have been using consignment shops for 3 years, and over the years I've sold over 1,000 pairs of shoes, and I've learned really just a lot about the consignment model overall. And it's something that I've been preaching for well over a year, but I still see a lot of people that haven't adopted this model, and I hope that you can at least consider it, as I've had great success increasing my profit margins by selling my shoes through consignment shops. If you have any questions about sneaker consignment or reselling in general, feel free to comment them down below. Happy to answer any questions you may have. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to turn post notifications on so you do not miss a thing. A lot more content coming up. I'll catch you in the next one.